P. Diddy. March 25th, LA and Miami, his homes were raided by Homeland Security. By the way, I could see if it's just the feds or local police department. Homeland Security. Mind you, they don't give a shit about the border. The border's open, but they have to go after Diddy. So they did a part of a New York investigation following interview with 4 individual victims. Some were handcuffed outside, including both of his sons. His private jet was tracked to the Caribbean islands of Antigua, which has no U.S. extradition.
No extradition from what I've understood.
Brilliant. So it's brilliant. And then Rob has something to say about his drug dealer, which is coming up soon. But the charges are sex trafficking of a minor, rape, and other alleged abuses. By the way, drugging people. I've heard, and you guys have all seen videos of him, people that have been at the parties, famous people, 50 Cent, everybody saying, I've known this as a New Yorker since I was young. The stories from girls that I knew that would be there and be like, it was weird and there were rooms and it's only a matter of time. So I want to know your guys' opinion. David, you've been following this. What do you think is going on?
So I've been following it. People said, have you seen what's going on? And I hadn't. And then I sort of caught up on warp speed. This is no coming to the defense of P. Diddy. It's waiting until we get more information. There's a number of things that are at play here. Like when you assume that everything the Biden administration does is corrupt, there has to be an element of corruption to this as well.
Yes.
I have heard that he was running basically an Epstein Island in his own house, getting blackmail material on people.
Yep.
There was that video of him where he brought out his daughter's best friend, Ava Baroni, and pretended that they had taken her off the street and adopted her, and she looked a little weird. Everyone in that video looked weird.
There's grown men standing behind, smiling, all creepy.
Dirty, and I have no doubt dirtiness is going on here. I do suspect there might also be a political angle right now. Maybe something of a public threat to all other hip-hop stars who might come up and support Donald Trump or voice support for him. Shut up, or we're going to come do this to you.
Yeah.
But there's some serious stuff.
And don't forget about, and Rob, I'm going to go to you about what you talk about. Don't forget, like Clive Davis? Clive Davis, the mogul. All
yes,
these
music
people,
mogul.
Clive Davis, it's not just artists and stuff. And he is, dude, he was the Epstein of hip-hop, and he had cameras, and they alleged, what else? The girls were saying that he was drugging and raping them, recording it, taking turns raping. Another anonymous woman filed that his house records and Bad Boys Entertainment. They gang raped 17-year-old by P. Diddy and the president. Dude, the amount of allegations, like, you know when people say there's smoke, there's fire? The fucking house is burning down. There's more than just smoke. Yeah. But if you think about it, a lot of people are saying, people found out, like, because by the way, the news is coming out too much. Every week somebody else is coming forward. They're saying these powerful elites, they went in there to grab all the recordings because they're on it. This jet, and that's why I want to get to Rob, this jet, how do you know didn't have every single piece of recording footage, and they brought it to a place where there's no U.S. extradition? And Rob, what did you find out about his drug dealer?
So his drug dealer is a 24-year-old kid from Ohio. That I could find information back to 2022. Their relationship may go beyond that, but I mean, how old is P. Diddy or Diddy
50
or whatever?
Something, 52 maybe.
It's just weird that a guy in his 50s has a guy. The person that was arrested, the 24-year-old, is accused of procuring drugs, guns, and paying off sex workers on behalf of P. Diddy. It seems weird that Diddy has a friendship or a person that acts on his behalf that is so young.
He's 54 years old. I just looked it up. 54 years old.
So he's hanging out with a guy that's 30 years younger than him, and that guy is the scapegoat to do all of the crimes.
Well, how old was he? How old was he when he was hanging out with Justin Bieber, giving him cars?
How about this, David? Too old. Because he's 15 years old. You guys could look it up. He's 15, and he's like, dude, openly, I get goosebumps. First of all, the parents, why are you letting your 15-year-old, I don't care if he's a rap mogul, hang out with a grown man that's standing with him? Justin Bieber looks lost. He's with a star, and he's like, yeah, I'm adopting him for a couple weeks, just me and him by himself, and he's gonna have the best experience a 15-year-old can ever have. What?
Also,
what are you
did you see that video of the teenager neighbor of his who said like his ball will fall into his yard and he won't go after it because he's scared of what goes on there?
Yeah.
And he said there's bus loads of people that get dropped off.
At
underage.
Underage.
So we all saw that video. I'm skeptical of everything on the internet. Do we actually know that was certifiably his neighbor? I thought it could have been like
it was a
troll
car.
or a prank.
It was the car of somebody that came out next door.
And it was a super fancy car. I noticed that.
It was like a not a Maybach. It was like a Bentley, but Brandon, what do you think?
Well, here's the thing: the fact that DHS was involved makes me think there's some kind of like deep international element to this, because that's a terrorist unit. That was created after 9/11. So the fact that like DHS, which handles international terrorism crimes,
point.
I think this goes much deeper than just him, doing this within the rap world. I think this could be as far as like a international sex smuggling ring.
And it's and go ahead.
Did
Rob?
you mention? Do you have Usher in your notes?
Usher? Did he have there Umberto? I don't have the
So
Usher thing. But
yesterday, an interview came out with the Howard Stern show. It's 10 or 12 years old, where it's Usher discussing his start in hip hop, and his start in hip hop was at 13 years old. He moved in and lived with Diddy. And he said during that interview that he saw things that he was not old enough to participate in. My question, why is any grown man adopting a 13-year-old kid that's not his, having them live in the house with them, to be your protege? All of that, and I hate to say this, Jerry Sandusky, the guy that got caught at Penn State, was doing the same thing where he'd bring in impoverished youth. He'd say, hey, come work at my football training camp at Penn State, and I'll help you become the next best athlete. Then what would he do? He'd rape these kids viciously in a shower, and all of Penn State turned a blind eye to it. So for people to be like, well, there's smoke, there's fire, but you can't actually accuse.
No, we could accuse.
You can at least say, hey, enough of this is weird enough to start raising questions about why would you do all of it?
Yeah.
And you saw the Cat Williams clips now are circulating where he predicted it, and it's sort of like the British guy who did the Oscars speech.
Ricky
Gervais. You make some truth in jest. In fact, the best jokes have an element of truth to them. When he gets out and says in open what everybody knows is the best kept secret, you know that he's telling the truth. Cat Williams coming out, we can now sort of have an indication that he's telling the truth. There's going to be an element of corruption to it, because in all of this, Hunter Biden, meanwhile, for having done, allegedly similar things and having some concrete evidence of it.
Untouchable.
No sex trafficking.
And just, I'm happy you brought up Cat Williams said he declined an invitation to one of Diddy's parties because gay sex happens to them. He goes, and I quote, I gotta protect my integrity and that virgin hole. I was telling you about, because Diddy be wanting a party and you gotta tell him no.
And
So why now though? Like what's the?
I love that you said that. It's like, and I hate that, Rob. I hate that for all these years, from the Dan
Like
Schneider
20
to the
years.
Brian Pecks from Nickelodeon, from when is enough going to be enough, from Corey Haim, Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
It's the point where we have to, like, even Usher, come forward and get rid of these demons, bro, because they're walking amongst us. And I keep telling people this, bro. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. Don't stop being naive. I'm talking to everybody at home, to whoever's watching, wherever you're listening. I'm a Christian. We have our ways. I go to church. I have my rituals. We have our thing. We pray. I ask for forgiveness. I pray for other people. Don't think for 2 seconds that the other side doesn't have the same thing. I'm a soldier for God. I'm out here trying to preach the word. I'm not perfect. I fail. I cuss. I do dumb shit. There I go all the time. But don't think for 2 seconds that the other side doesn't have its army, doesn't have its rituals, doesn't have its minions. And these people, and the children, these are children in the Bible. I think it's Mark Chapter 16, verse 8, if I got it right, I can't believe God would be happy. It said, if you make one of these young ones to sin or harm a child, it's better for you to tie a millstone around your neck and throw yourself into the depths of the sea. That's in the Bible. Like, don't mess with children. And these kids, if you watch the Dan Schneider Nickelodeon thing, this guy, Brian Peck, was raping and molesting and forcefully shoving stuff in this guy's ass. Sorry, this kid, goes to prison, comes out and gets a job at Disney. What are we doing?
It's wild. You say, like, don't think they don't have their rituals. Religion is a basically a chemistry of the brain, and if you don't have religion and the goodness that religion brings, you're going to substitute that necessity of the brain with something else. It'll be government. It'll be ideology. It'll be transgender ideology. Or it'll be satanic rituals that they have, undoubtedly.
Love that you're bringing that up.
So, but all that to say, I was going to make a joke. Cat Williams, meanwhile, he's going to be called a homophobe and a bigot because that was his. I'm not going to any gay party, but I'll go to a heterosexual party. That's not what he was saying at all. What he was saying is degeneracy, left, right, and center. He didn't partake in it. He was canceled as a result of it. But they'll find a way to demonize the truth.
Oh,
speakers.
big time, Brendan. You said something earlier about this.
Well, keep in mind though. So I don't think it's an accident that all these things have been public for 20 years because because like you said, they have their rituals and whatnot. They have to do it and make it public and make it blatantly clear they're doing it in order to get away with it.
It's called a karmic retribution. You told me about that.
Yeah,
they have to let you know. They have to foreshadow because.
So why would he be doing that with Justin Bieber? Basically blatantly saying like what he's doing without saying exactly what he's doing. Anybody who watches that video knows there's sick, twisted stuff going on. But why would he record and release that video with like doing weird stuff with a 15-year-old kid?
Humiliation.
I think
and to show that they can get away with it, it's to boast of the power that they have. They have a system to protect them.
And it becomes because it becomes too difficult. It's very dark for people to think about this stuff, right? Thinking about children getting raped and that there's some type
they don't
of
want to talk about it,
pedophilia ring. But then it also becomes so when you see these videos and you see them getting away with it, when you see it becomes, well, what can I do about that situation? It's too much for me. There's nothing that I can do. It makes people who are watching that not only see that they can get away with it, but then it makes them feel disencouraged to try and make any change because, hey, the system's already been in place. I'm so small. What can one person do to change this? But realistically, all it does take is one person to go and speak up to make that change. And then it takes the rest of the people to get behind that change and go, like, that's what happened with Me Too. It was, Me Too was around since 2006. It didn't become popular until Alyssa Milano tweeted it out in 2017.
Yeah.
And then it became, hey, this is wrong. It happened to me. And it encouraged other people to speak out. And the people became the power that made the change.
Yeah.
And then the irony is Alyssa Milano then went on to support Joe Biden, who allegedly showered with his daughter, sexually at inappropriate ages, allegedly sexually improperly touched Tara Reid. Lisa Bloom, the daughter of Gloria Allred, admitted it, knew if it was true at the time. No, they use it while it's politically convenient, and then they ignore it afterwards, or they weaponize it for.
And it drives me crazy. And it drives me crazy when you said, and I get it. The victims, I can only imagine how hard it is to be a victim of an adult male raping and sodomizing and taking advantage. I can only imagine because, bro, look at all the young people. If you watch that documentary, how it's affected them. Amanda Bynes and all these people. Like, and if God forbid it's what's his name? What's that noise? Is that thunder? What's his name? Like Justin Bieber. He turned to God and he went off and he started becoming like not weird, but look at the toll.
Britney Spears. I mean, look what happened to Britney Spears.
All of them.
And the system protects the victimizers, not the victims. That's sorry.
Right. Yeah. No. You're just saying Justin Bieber. So there's kind of like two worlds in hip hop. It seems there's like the establishment side.
Yeah.
Diddy's clearly on that.
Yeah.
And then that also includes Jay-Z and a lot of others who are, I think we're going to hear more about soon.
Yeah.
And then Kanye, when he broke and started talking about Trump and then he made Jesus is King, Justin Bieber flew out to Wyoming to his compound to record Jesus is King with him.
Wow.
And that's around when Bieber started taking religion very seriously.
Dude.
And also, during Kanye's whole divorce with Kim, Diddy was taking pictures with Kim on Halloween and basically like being like, haha, like, I have your woman now.
Wow.
And Diddy texted Kanye saying, like, give me an address and I'll come fight you right now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Kanye replied to him calling him a Fed.
He did call him a Fed.
Why did he call him a Fed, though?
Out of all things.
Out of all things to call him a Fed.
Probably working like...
What year was that?
That was 2022.
So it's 2 years ago.
Weird.
Before any of the, because I mean, have you guys ever heard of these Diddy rumors prior to today? I know 50 Cent has been speaking out, but have you ever heard like certifiable evidence of weird activity?
Being from the East Coast and being, I've heard a lot of stuff. I've heard girls that have been like, oh my God, the parties get weird at a certain hour. You can't go up into this room. You can't go. I heard another story about somebody in an elevator where it stopped and he let his girl get off on the 13th and he went to like the 14th floor because that's the floor where the crazy gay stuff happens, which whatever. You're gay, fine, I don't care. But the moment it gets to children, I'm anti.
I was just going to look at the camera and say, stay home, keep your schmeckle in your pants, get married young, and don't go out after 10. Nothing good happens after 10.